Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture series of Power Plant Engineering. Myself, Dr. Vipul M. Patel from Dr. Subhash Technical Campus. So as we have already completed the chapter number 7, that is condensers and cooling towers, in the last lecture, and in today's lecture we are going to start chapter number 8 from the Power Plant Engineering, that is feed water treatment. So in this lecture we will learn about the necessity of feed water treatment, and the exact location of the water softening plant in the power plant, then different impurities in the feed water treatment and effect of impurities in the feed water treatments. So in this power plant engineering, this one, chapter number 8, is one of the most important chapter, we can say, because those water we are using in the power plant engineering, and what is the purpose of this particular water, different impurities in the water, how can we solve that problems with rising with the use of these different impurities, and what is the effects of these impurities in the power plant, that we will discuss in this chapter. So today only 4 topics we will cover in this lecture, that is necessity of water treatment, the exact water softening plant location, then different impurities, which type of impurities we can see in this water treatment, feed water, and different effects of impurities in this feed water, right? So first of all, we are going to start necessity of feed water treatment. See, feed water is an essential part of a boiler, right? Feed water is an essential part of a boiler. The feed water is put into the steam drum from a feed pump. So in a steam drum, the feed water is then turned into the steam from the heat, right? And after the steam is used, it is then dumped to the main condenser. So from the condenser, it is then pumped to the deaerated feed tank, and from this tank it then goes back to the steam drum. So complete this cycle. So this cycle is known as closed cycle, and feed water is never open to the atmosphere. That's why it is known as a closed system, right? Or it is known as the Rankine cycle also. So this is a boiler feed water, right? And raw water contains a variety of impurities like suspended solids and turbidity. It is also known as a measurement of a water clarity. Then hardness, it is also one type of impurities in the water, we can say hardness, hard water. Then alkalinity, that is the capability of the water to neutralize acid. Then silica, it is oxide of silicon. Dissolved gases, it is a mixture of gases and a solute, we can say. So microorganisms, that is invisible to the naked eye, so that we can't see from our eye, or human being can't see that, because the structure of these impurities is a very microorganisms. Then these impurities deposit on the heat transfer surface in the power plant, right? So this type of depositions leads to low conductivity. Definitely they can decrease the conductivity, then hinders the heat transfer. The heat transfer ratio will definitely decrease, and they restrict the water flow. Yes, this type of impurities that will deposit on this particular surface area of this different water treatment plants, so they can definitely restrict the water flow. Then corrosion and erosion of the boiler tubes, turbine blades, and condenser tubes also. Yes, definitely this type of impurity will produce the corrosive effect or erosion on these different boilers, in the boiler tubes, in turbines, turbine blades, and condenser tubes, right? So these are the necessities of the feed water treatment. Now you can see the water softening plant location. So where is the location of this water softening plant? So if we are uh, collecting the water from the water source like well, rivers, ponds, etc., then definitely over here after that pump we have to set the water softening plant over here, and then we can send this water purified water to the boiler with the use of this different makeup water plant or feed water plant. Otherwise we can't, because what does it mean and what will effect, what type of effect will produce on that particular that we have already seen, right? So this is the exact location of the water softening plant in the power plant, right? So now different impurities in the feed water. So which type of impurities in the feed water that you can see? Feed water is an essential part of a boiler, we can say, and this is also known as a closed system. So undissolved and suspended materials in the feed waters like turbidity and sediments, then sodium and potassium salts, chlorides, irons, manganese, silica, microbiological growths, and different colors. So these are the different impurities in the feed water treatments. So this boiler water treatment is used to control the alkalinity, prevent scaling, correct pH, and to control the conductivity, and so that it does not ruin. And the tubes, there can be too much conductivity in the feed water when there are too many dissolved solids. So these correct treatments can be controlled by the efficient operator and use of the treatment chemicals, right? So the internal treatment is also for the boiler feed water, and external treatment is also for makeup water. And the condensate part of the system, internal treatment, protects against feed water hardness by the preventing the precipitating of scale and different things. And deaeration is also there, then different scale information, then priming and forming, then corrosion, etc. So now you can see different effects of impurities in the feed water treatment that we will discuss from the next slide. But here dissolved salts and minerals, you can see what is the calcium and magnesium salt. The presence of these salts is recognizing by the hardness of the water, and the salt are presenting in the water in the form of carbonated, bicarbonates, then sulfates, then chlorides, and cannot be removed just by boiling because they from the hard scale on the heating surface, right? So dissolved gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide, other minerals that will be free minerals, acid and oils, etc. So these are the different impurities in the feed waters. So now these impurities will affect. So what are the effects of impurities? So mainly there are 4 different effects of the impurities, that is scale formation, corrosion, priming and forming, carryover, and caustic embrittlements. So you can see first of all, treatment of this boiler corrosion, scale deformation. So you can see the figure of the scale deformation. So this type of concentration of dissolved salts in the hard water increase the progressively due to the continuous evaporation of the water in the boiler, and finally these salts are precipitated on the inner walls of the boiler, and this precipitated matter forms a hard adhering coating inside the boiler surface, and they are called as a scales. So this reduces the heat transfer and leads to the rise in the temperature of the metal wall. So these are the different parts of the boiler, right? So this concentration of the dissolved salts, magnesiums, and as we have discussed in the previous slides, So this type of salts in the hard water increase the progressively due to the continuous evaporation. The water in the boiler, finally these salts are precipitated on these thinner walls, this type. And the precipitated matter forms a hardening adhesive coating the inside the boiler surface, and they are called as a scale. Right, so temperature above 450 degrees Celsius may cause serious damage due to the hot spot and consequently rupture of the boiler temperature, definitely. So scaling is mainly caused due to the salts of the calcium, magnesium, iron, aluminum and silicates. So this type of scale stocks the flow in the piping system and thus required increase in the pressure of the maintained water delivery. So if we can decrease the area of this particular hose pipes, which can through the with the use of that particular we are using for this throwing the water, so definitely if we can decrease the area of this particular pipe, then definitely pressure to the maintained water delivery will be increased, required increase, right? So leads to heat transfer drop from the flue gases to water also. So this type of scale formation is one of the most important effect with the use produced with the salts, different salts like magnesium, iron, aluminum, silicates, calcium, etc. Right? This is the scale formation. Next one is a corrosion. So corrosive compounds, especially O2 and CO2, means oxygen and carbon dioxide. So it must be removed usually by use of the deaerators. So residual amounts can be removed chemically by use of the oxygen scavengers. Additionally, feed water is typically alkalized to the pH of 9.0 or higher. So to reduce the oxidations and to support the formation of the stable layer of the manganese of the water side surface of the boiler, protecting the material underneath then from further corrosive effect. So this is usually done by the dosing alkaline agents into the feed water such as sodium hydroxide, or we can say caustic soda or ammonia, right? So corrosion in the boiler is due to the presence in dissolved oxygens, dissolved carbon dioxide and dissolved salts. So you can see what is the corrosive effect will be on effect of this particular part of this power plant, and the eating away of the process of the boiler metal is known as corrosion also. So it produces the pits, grooves and cracks on the surface of the boiler. Corrosion in the boiler generally occurs when the boiler water alkalinity is low and when the metal is exposed in the oxygen bearing and water either during the operation or ideal periods. The high temperature and stresses in the boiler metal tend to accelerate the corrosive mechanisms, right? And specific contaminants such as ammonia or sulfur bearing gases may increase the attacks on the copper alloys in the system, and this type of cracks occur due to the cyclic stresses created due to the rapid heating and cooling at the points where corrosion has roughness and the metal surface also. So this one is a second effects of the impurities, corrosion. Third one, that is priming, foaming and carryover. So what is priming, foaming and carryover? That is priming is a carryover of the varying amounts of the droplets of the water in the steam, and which lower the energy efficiency of the steam and leads to the deposit of the steam and leads to the deposit and salts crystals on the superheater and the turbines. So priming may be caused by the improper construction of the boiler, excessive rating or the sudden fluctuation in the steam demands, right? So this type of priming and foaming is a condition in the boiler in the steam locomotive in which water is carried over into the steam delivery. So it may be caused by the impurities in the water and which forms up as it boils and or simply to high water level. So it is harmful to the valves and pistons as the lubrication is washed away and can be dangerous when any water collecting in the cylinders. So is not compressibly and it trapped may fracture in the cylinder head or piston, right? The most frequent causes is running in the locomotive with too high level of the water in boiler and is most efficient when the regulator is opened sharply or steam demand is high. The sensible locomotive management by the operator will help to prevent the occurrence, and the phenomenon is particularly evident in the areas of the impure water and where boiled water creates a foam or a mist of the droplets or filling the space of the collects steam at the top of the boiler and to be drawn down the steam collector pipe in the form of the sludge water. And if boiler water is condensed and reused, then any oil or grease must be extracted in the form of contamination is particularly likely to give the trouble, right? So primary or priming may be caused by the improper construction of the boiler, excessive ratings and sudden fluctuation in the steam demand also. So boiler water carry out the contamination of the steam boiler water solids, bubbles and built up on the surface of the boiler water and pass out with the steam. So this is called foaming also, and this type of foaming it is caused by this high concentration of any solids of the boiler water. So substance such as alkalis, oil, fats, certain types of organic matters and suspended solids are particularly conducive to the foaming. So to prevent the foaming and priming, we should maintain the concentration of the solids at the reasonably low level. So avoid the high water levels, excessive boiler loads and sudden load changes, right? So we can see that the steam delivery that it may be caused by the impurities in the water and which forms up as it boils, then or simply too high at water level, and it is very harmful to the valves and piston as a lubrication is washed away. So lubrication is washed away, so we can say that it can be dangerous as any water collecting and cylinder in the cylinders, so is not compressible and it may fracture into cylindrical head or piston. So these are the effect of impurities as in the form of priming, foaming and carryover. So final one, that is a caustic embrittlements. Caustic embrittlements, you can see the figure. What does it mean? Means the caustic embrittlements. The caustic embrittlement is caused by the using highly alkaline water. Which type? Highly alkaline water. So it causes the brittleness of the metal, which results in crack formation in the boiler cell below the water level. So this is caused due to the long exposure of the boiler still to combination of the stress and highly alkaline water. So the following three conditions contribute to caustic embrittlements. You can see in the figure this type of crack will produce with the use of this caustic embrittlements. So metal is highly stressed at the point of the leakage. जहाँ पे लीकेज होता है वहाँ पे मेटल हाईली स्ट्रेस्ड होता है वो पॉइंट पे. सो दिस में बी कॉज्ड बाय द फॉल्टी रिवेटिंग, मिसअलाइनमेंट्स और एक्सपेंशन ऑल्सो. So only leakages is not the reason, right? So it may be caused by the faulty riveting. If we are not fitting it very well, then also misalignment is there, and also expansion of this particular metal or material is there, then it may also cause, right? So measures to control: eliminating 3 sodium hydroxide from the boiler water, maintaining a definite ratio of the sodium nitrate to the sodium hydroxide. These are also important things for the measures to controls. So right, now feed water treatment that we will discuss in the next lecture. I hope all of you understand it very well today. Necessity of the feed water treatment, then different impurities in the feed waters, then exact particular location of the water softening plant in the power plant, and different effects of the impurities in the feed water, right? I hope all of you understand. So thanks for listening. Thank you all. Thank you very much.